This is my last non-Canon lens, my Sigma 70 to 200, and it's been a very faithful lens, trustworthy lens, very valuable lens, not in terms of financial value, but in terms of usability. This lens reaches where other lenses cannot reach. This is the Lord Chief Rocker. And I don't use it very often, but I was doing an event the other day. It was a stage show, singers, performers, and I was called in at last minute to, get some snaps. And I love to shoot my primes, so I had my 6D2 and my 5D2, 35mm, 85mm, 135, that holy trinity of primes, the primeval. And I was considering bringing this, but because it's so heavy, I decided, the trinity, I get away with it most of the time. So, didn't bring it, but when I got there, they stuck me all the way at the back, up in the gods, and luckily I had my 135 and it just about hit nicely the stage, but this would have been perfect. Would have been perfect to have this. So, I always struggle to decide what to bring whenever I'm doing an event, and that's, it's a good problem to have. You've got to decide what you're doing. It's good to know what you're doing. It's good to know beforehand what the situation is going to be. But I find a lot of time, especially in these circles, in my circles, people call you lastminute.com. You might not be the first selection, the first choice. Whether that's down to finance. It ain't cheap. Man's not cheap. Man's not cheap. I should make a rap. Man's not cheap. Taking photos and bringing all this gear, costs money. And man's got to live, so I ain't cheap. And I make don't try to, make no excuses for that. I believe I'm good at what I do. And I believe that there's value in what I do. And some people might not understand that in the moment, but years later they tend to understand it when they've got nothing to show for their event or whatever it is. And I've spoken about this many times before. But anyway, I get called lastminute.com a lot of the time, and I have to fill in lastminute.com, and therefore I don't know what to bring, and I don't want to bring everything. But it's a good idea to, roll fully strapped. Roll with your guns, man. So, but I decided to leave this anyway, and got some nice pictures. I might throw some up at the end if you behave yourself. We got some nice pictures with 135 f2. I was mostly using that and 24 to 70. Oh yeah, I brought the 24 to 70, didn't I? I did roll with my wheelie trolley, and the 24 to 70 f4 was in there. And the thing about the f4, when you're maybe new to photography or newish, you always want the widest aperture lenses, And what I've found a lot of the time, the f4 is such a brilliant lens. It's such a beautiful lens. It's a general purpose lens. It's my, it's my red ring general, yeah? And when you're shooting stuff on stage, if there are many people, if it's deep doff, you're going to be shooting f5.6 anyway. I was shooting f5.6. The lighting was perfect. So I could, with the 5D2 and the 6D, you can bump up the ISO if you need to. So you don't need to worry about that. Images, well, you'll see if I fling them up. But I was shooting 5.6 to get the deep doff of the people on stage. Because remember, I'm way back in the gods, So you don't want it to be too shallow, where you're picking out certain people and you're blurring off others. So the 2.8 sometimes is overkill. So sometimes we stress ourselves out to get this 2.8 and we ain't even going to use 2.8, or we can't use 2.8 in the situation that we want to use it. So that's something to think about. So anyway, I was using 135. I had my 85 as well, which I used for a bit. But this would have been so nice. It would have been so nice. And it teaches that in photography, flexibility is a good thing. To be flexible. It's all good and well saying, yeah, man, I'm a prime man. I'm a primaholic. You know, I shoot with my 3 holy trinity of primes. But certain situations, 24 to 70 and 70 to 200 is the boomage, you know. Anyway, what did I want to talk? I wanted to talk about something today. The changing face of photography. Photography, I can't even say photography in the 21st century. And it happens with everything, with every expression of art and culture. I've seen it in the design world, which is where I used to inhabit. I was a graphic designer back in the day, and I used to design magazines, anything you can print basically. Pamphlets, leaflets, flyers, all kinds of stuff, posters. And in the design world back in the day, where only certain people who had the skills could design, there were certain rules that us designers would go by, you know. You could tell if somebody had design skills, you know. Proper, using the right texts, the right fonts, the right typefaces, you know. Certain typefaces would complement other typefaces, and you could tell if somebody didn't know what they were doing just looking at the flyer. If you had the eye, you know, the tracking and the kerning and the leading and the ligatures, all these kind of things, we would know looking at a next man's flyer if he was, you know, somebody who just got a computer for Christmas or somebody who had the skills. And then when home computers started getting more popular and other people started jumping on board and designing, you know, which is what happens, it opens up the possibilities for the lay person to do this skill. Slowly but surely, all those rules that the designers would go by start getting phased out as more and more people, more and more lay people, they're not really concerned. We don't really care if the leading ain't right, if it's overlapping, or if there's too much space that you could drive a bus between your top deck and your, you know. It didn't matter after a while so much. And I see the same thing happening in photography. You know, there's certain rules, and I know rules are meant to be broken, but there's certain things that you do. You know, give your subject some negative space. You know, rule of thirds and all that kind of stuff. Fibonacci spiral and all that kind of stuff. Lighting, you know, juxtapositions and depth of field and all that kind of thing. With the advent of mobile phones opening up this world of photography to more people, some of those rules are just becoming obsolete and wiped out. You know? So, photography now is, well, it's always been a space of work and a space of art. And I think the art space is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. The workspace is getting wider and wider and wider. More people are doing stuff and expecting stuff for free because it's just photography. You know, you just take out your phone. People tell me all the time when they ask me how much I charge, and I tell them, oh, well, I can do it myself. I just take out my phone and I can photograph this event. And sure enough, when I was doing the event at the stage show, everyone had their phone, and you could see all the phones out, filming throughout the whole event, photographing the whole event. Not only photographing the event and filming it, but putting it online as they were doing it. So it makes you wonder, when you're a photographer with all this gear, you know, you've got these 2 DSLRs strapped around your neck with some hefty lenses, hench lenses. By the time the event's finished and you're going home, those images are already on social network. They're already going around the world. So your images better be good. My images better be good if they're going to stand up the next day or the same night. Because I try to, whenever I do an event, you know, get home and get the images, get through do a rough edit at least before the end of the day, before midnight. Send it off to the client midnight, so that when they wake up in the morning, they got a little selection of images. So you got to be sure. You got to work hard. Is it work hard or smart? You got to make sure you're taking pictures that nobody else has got, that nobody else can get with their mobile phone. And I'm getting to a position now, I'm getting to a point now where I look at the images that I take and I'm happy with the images that I take, but then the next day I'm not. I don't know if that happens with you, but I'm very hard to please myself. I'm finding it very hard to please myself. I don't know if it's because I've been doing this for a while, and after you've seen certain images, certain styles of images enough times or a number of times, then it becomes just, it's just work. It's just standard. It's reaches a standard. It's not going to win any awards, but it is within this tolerance of images that are acceptable. But I expect or I want my images to like be up there. But in my estimation, they're not up there. And I don't know if it is something where I'm just being hard on myself, or whether it is because my images are not up there where I want them to be. Woo, oh my God. Well, maybe not. Oh my God, but you know what I mean? Other people say that when they see my images. They're like, oh my God. So maybe I'm just being hard on myself. That's what I'm trying to say. Maybe I'm just being hard on myself. But I'm seeing this world of photography really being separated into work, bog standard work, knockout images, blah, 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 blah. And one where there's this art to it that, and I think that's what I'm trying to aim for. I want to get from this work, blah, 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 bish, bash, bosh, knockout images, to this space where it's art, where you can display stuff in a gallery. I've never done a gallery. I've never had a gallery. That's something that somebody's actually spoken to me about recently, and we're looking into it, and that's a whole different realm for me. And maybe it's something that I need to do to take what I'm doing to another level. Because this thing can get samey. And especially when you spend a lot of time online looking at images. You might be on Flickr or you might be on Instagram and you're looking at other people's images all the time. And I'm finding myself less and less, not impressed, but less and less drawn by images that I'm seeing. And I don't know if it's because the standard is just going down, or whether my expectations are more, or whether I'm just seeing more of the same thing. Because everyone's a photographer now. So who knows? Bit of a philosophical one today. I haven't done a philosophical one for a while. Maybe it's the rain and the grey skies and the moodiness that brings this all out to the fore. Anyway, I may put some of the images up. I haven't put no images up for a while, so maybe I'll put some images up. Have a look at the images and tell me what you think. Comment below. Big things. String up the amp, make the people start bad. More ambassa make your bad so. More ambassa make your bad so. Coxswain, coxswain, nah go no penitentiary. Lord, coxswain, coxswain, nah go no penitentiary. Lord, you don't let nobody put your brother down. Show away your knife, nobody take his life. Coxswain, coxswain, nah go no penitentiary. Woo, coxswain, coxswain, nah go no penitentiary. Woo. String up the amp, make the people start bad. More ambassa make your bad so.